Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia, another edition of the Hour of Politics, another analysis, but this time with a different start. Welcome, share the show. The focus for this edition of the Hour of Politics, we are doing an analysis of President Weah's participation in the county sports meet. The guy is in the photo. I'm talking about our president. He is in the photo. And guess what? He is not in the photo alone. He is in the photo with somebody. That person having to be his friend, by the way. But the one that you need to know is this person is the Minister of Youth and Sports, the agency of government that spearheads the national county sports meet. So it is his agency that writes the rules and the regulations regarding or governing the national county sports meets. So let us get to it. In this edition of the Hour of Politics, I have three panelists that will be joining me. I will do a 20-minute analysis, and then I will bring my panelists in, and then they will weigh in. And then when they do, we will be able to bring comments, and we hope to also bring calls so that we can give you the opportunity to participate. So let us get started with the analysis of President Weah's participation in the national county meet. Really? The president of Liberia? Did he participate? Oh, yes. And as a matter of fact, he having to be the only person who played in two different sports. And not only did he play, he won 2 MVP titles. Seriously? Liberia's president participated in the national county sports meet. He did not only play the basketball in the basketball tournament, he also played in the volleyball tournament. Is he qualified, by the way, to participate? But yeah, that is why he did. And that is why my panel will be weighing on. But before my panel, let me give you some history and I'll do a little bit of analysis. The National County Meet was established sometime in 1956. The goal there was to foster unity and peace in Liberia. The goal there was also to scout talents of young or youth in the country. So when that started in 1956, for some of you who don't know the history, one of the things that was part of the national county meet was something they call torchlight parade. According to historians, there was this something called torchlight parade. You know the torchlight that we use most of the time, right, in the dark. So they had a torchlight parade. That was one of the games that was being played at the time when the national county league started. And fast forward, football and track and field became the two major tournaments or games in the national county sport meets. So folks, football, as we know, is now like the traditional sports of Liberia, but track and field was very popular at the time, somewhere between 1956 to 1960, and then 70, it was popular. And then fast forward, tennis got into the mix. But talking about the football, and let me also say that it was around 1960, 65, 67, when basketball and volleyball and all became part of the national county meet. I'm giving you some history lesson here. According to Focus on Liberia's historian, or soccer historian, by the way, Mr. Charles Wadsworth. Grand Bassa County won the first trophy in 1956 in the soccer or football category. Grand Bassa. So Grand Bassa historically has been a major, contender or participant in the national county sports meets. Now, other counties will come, to win it. For example, between 1956 and 1985, my home county of Grand Cru, the home county of President Weah, won the national county meet competition in the football category about 4 times. And then also came Nimba County. Nimba County between 1978 to 2011, Nimba also came close and dominated between that period and won about 4 times, talking about the football category. And today I'm hearing that Nimba County has won the 2021 and 2022 competition in the soccer category. Now, let me take you back a little bit. I love history. At the time, there was this thing called the overall trophy. The overall trophy was decided in a way that all of the counties, excuse me, that were participating, the county who won the highest amount of points in all the categories in the competition could go to win the overall trophy. I'm not sure they have the overall trophy now as we speak. So that is a little bit of history lesson. And what is the piece of history necessary? And it's also good to tell you, when it started, age was not a factor. It was not restricted to age. But as we know, sports media all around the world was this particular area of life that was mostly reserved for people who were active, people who were living active life, young people at the time. But according to the history, young and, people who are a little more advanced in age were participating. What I'm saying is that there was not an age limit at the time, but those who felt that they had the physical agility, the physical wherewithal, to be able to compete, because these games, as you all know, they are very, very vigorous. So people were allowed to participate. Now, the other piece of history we need to talk on is, were officials allowed to participate? And I'm not strong on this piece of history, but other than to say, yes, in the past, officials of government participated in the tournament, but for the most part, those officials were people who were like in their youth, at that time, they participated. Just to tell you that, yes, there is a history, there's a precedent that's been set for people in government to participate. If you check the history books, there were some ministers that even participated participated in the national county sport meets. But at the time they were participating, they did so because the rules could allow them. Fast forward, the people realized that to improve participation, we are going to put some rules into place to govern, the overall process of the national county meet. And so what happened? They started writing rules. And as they write the rules, we started seeing, some set of rules for soccer or football, some set of rules for basketball. And that's how you start hearing that, well, if you play for the national team, or they could allow, each county team could allow just about 3 or sometimes 2 persons who have participated on the national level. And in something less of football, if you have, won the national team jersey before, in other words, if you have played for Lone Star before, then you're not qualified to participate. So some of these rules started coming in. And for the most part, most of the rules were applied to the football category. Now, as we speak, we have the rules for this recent national county meet. Now, this is where it is important for us to understand what the rules and the regulation says. The rules and regulations say as to who is qualified to participate in the national county meet. So now let's do that quickly here. So according to the rules, and let me read that for you here. As you can see, it reads that this is the 2021-2022 National County Sports Meet Rules and Regulation. Of that regulation that was put into place for this about just, and if I can put it that way, National County Sports Meets, the goal reads thus. And the goal is section 1.0 of the 2021-2022 National County Sports Meet Rules and Regulations. The underlying goal for the annual National County Sports Meet is to foster peace and unity through sports, as well as provide temporary employment for sportsmen and women through the period leading to the events and post. Now, what does that mean? Let me put context around that. So they are telling you that the goal here is not only to foster peace and unity throughout the country, but also to do so through what? Sports. The key thing to take away from that is what it says: to provide temporary employment for sportsmen and women. So we see President Weah is participating. They said the goal here is to provide what? Temporary employment. Mark it. The goal is to provide temporary employment for sportsmen and women. We know President Weah is a sportsman, but he has since retired. But he's still a sportsman, right? But is President Weah looking for a job? Because the goal here is to provide what? Temporary employment. According to our laws, if you are in government, for example, if you work in one branch of government, and if you have a role to play, our law forbids you from working any other place. President Weah is working at the Ministry of Presidential Affairs. Is President Weah looking for a job? Doesn't President Weah have a job as President of the Republic of Liberia? If the goal, according to the rules and regulations here, say that this is intended to provide temporary employment for men and women, the reason anyone should participate here, according to the goal, should be because they are looking for what? Temporary employment. So President Weah came to find a temporary employment. That means that the president job is not enough for him. He wants to work again. So that is it. But now, that is not the main thing. The crux of the matter here is President Weah eligible? Is he qualified to participate? What does the rule say about qualification of individuals to participate in the tournament? That is in the objective, and let me bring that for you. Now, the 2021-2022 National County Sportsmen Rules and Regulation in section 2.0, which is the objectives of this particular tournament, of this competition, reads: the objectives for the organization of the National County Sports Meets are to undertake peace initiatives through sports, involve national youth participation, underline that, to involve national youth participation, and identify sport talents in support of grassroots sports initiatives in the country. Folks, let me ask you a question. Did you understand what the rules say? This is the objective that we just read. And the objective says this is for national youth participation. National youth participation. In other words, for you to be able to participate in the national county sports meet, you must be a youth to be qualified. The question is our president a youth? My understanding is that President Weah is age 55. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the universal definition for youth, according to the United Nations, is 18, I believe, to 24. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not firm on this, Liberia's definition of youth is, I believe, from 18 to 25, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure on that. And those of you who might know that, please put that in the comment section here so that I can get this right. I believe it's from 18 to 25, whereas the United Nations definition for youth is 18 to 24. And I will need some help here if somebody can help me. I'm not solid with my information there. So this tournament, in order for you to be able to participate, you must be a youth. President Weah is not a youth. President Weah is participating. So that means President Weah is in gross violation of Section 2.0 of the 2021-2022 National County Sportsmen Rules and Regulations. This is the President of the Republic, who is an icon of sports, soccer to be in particular, is violating the rules and regulations of his country's national county sportsmen. The chief executive knowingly violated the regulations regarding the very counted sportsmen. Now, I brought this image also for you to see. There is D. Zoga Weah, the man whose ministry crafted these rules and regulations. Zoga Weah is in the know, according to Section 2.0 of the 2021-2022 counted meet rules and regulations. You must be a youth to participate. And yet, Zoga Weah will sit there soundly and will not tell the president, Mr. President, according to our rules, you are not a youth and you are not to participate because you are not eligible to participate. But Zoga Weah allowed President Weah to participate in violation of his own ministry rules and regulations. And he went and awarded President Weah two MVP titles, one in basketball and one in volleyball. Mr. Weah should not have participated. Mr. Weah, by doing so, denied young people the opportunity to share the spotlight, to represent their counties, to participate in the national competition in their country. If President Weah has not participated, this MVP title will have been won by somebody. That person will be proud today of being a Liberian citizen. President Weah played all the sports in his lifetime. When he was young, he had his time. He's president of the country. And here he is. Because of his involvement and participation, young Liberians today are being denied the opportunity to represent their counties, especially my home county of Grand Cru. That's what I brought you the history first. President Weah needed not to play for Grand Cru. Grand Cru has been very competitive, like Nimba, Grand Bassa, and some other counties. According to the history, Grand Cru has won this thing many times. So what was the point of President Weah coming? Just to steal the spotlight? Is he now busy? Is they thinking about making music? Releasing one single after the other, song for Kalasco? And now President Weah will release a song again for Nimba? You playing for Grand Cru, you're releasing a song in favor of Nimba? What is this all about? Well, time is my enemy. I will now announce that my panelists should join in so that I can put it to them to hear from them. I have made a very brief case, very short and succinct analysis about this national county sport meet. I am now waiting for my panelists. And so, panelists, if you are following, you all received the invitation, the link. It is about time for you to join in so that you too can weigh in with President Weah's participation in the national county sport meet. Did Mr. Weah violate the rules and regulation governing the national county sport meet? Did he do that? By his participation, did he deny young people of Liberia from sharing the spotlight and representing their county? I believe when Mr. Weah was younger, apparently he had an opportunity to represent his county, Grand Crew. Even if he did not do so, he represented Liberia many times. He was an icon of football. He won it all. He is president now. He has a responsibility to his country. And now here he is, stealing the spotlight, denying young people the opportunity to participate and represent their county. What else does this president want? What else does he want? Does he not have a job to do? From what I know, in any national competition, leaders are involved. Some leaders will come and just start the game by kicking the first ball to kickstart the game. Some will just play for like 1 or 2 minutes just to motivate the players, to generate that national unity, to bring everybody together, to set the example, to project the significance of the competition. A leader will set that example. But that is not the case with this, my brother George Weah. If you listen, if you follow the history of the national county meet, there's a place called Sastan where I'm from that President Weah is also from. At some point, the people of Sastan pretty much make up the team or the players of Grand Crew. That was when it was called Grand Crew in Sastan territory. And then it became Crew Coast territory. Most of the players came from Sastan. Great players, by the way. And it was during their time when Grand Crew was dominating in the national county sport meet. We don't need George Weah. We need him to be president, not to be playing, participating in this tournament. I am waiting for my panelists to join in. Gentlemen, you need to join in so that we can get the conversation going. I am expecting Mr. Rabo Gagwa. I am expecting Mr. Maurice Croman, aka Perfect Manager. And I'm also expecting Mr. Jerome Gilman. He is an unbiased solution. The 3 gentlemen will join me here in studio. And I'm hoping that they can do that so quickly because I told them I was going to do a 25-minute analysis, and then they will come in and then they will take the questions from me. I want to hear from them. So, gentlemen, I'm sure you are listening. It is about time for you to join in. I don't want to be repeating myself that, you got the invitation. So, folks, that is the story of the national county meet. From the way I see it, President Weah was in error. The teams that Grand Crew won in this competition, because of President Weah's involvement, I would encourage them to file complaint. Mr. Weah should not have played. I believe Grand Crew won because President Weah was involved. I mean, the young people will not tackle him. The referee will not call a foul against him because he's president. I saw him playing. He was not competitive. He's overweight. He's fat. He has a huge responsibility for a country. Somebody told me there's a time for everything. When you are a boy, you have your time to play. When you become a man, you do man stuff. This is not the time for President Weah to be playing sports. He can go and exercise. But in a national competition, according to the rules and regulations governing that particular competition, this is for youth to participate. Youth to participate. How will the icon of football, George Weah, not know and be in this gross and blatant violation of the rules? Let's read 2.0 again, which is the objective. The objectives for the organization of the National County Sports Meet are to undertake peace initiatives through sports, involve national youth participation, and identify sport talents in support of grassroots sports initiatives in Liberia. Is President Weah part of grassroots sports now? Is he part of grassroots sports? He's not a grassroots, he's a president. I would even call him, he is an elite now. He's not a grassroots. What is the reason for participating? You're not a youth? Come to think about it, Zoga Weah is not participating. President Weah is the boss of Zoga Weah. Zoga Weah, I don't know if I can say he's smart enough to know that that is not his place to participate. So he's not participating. Other ministers are not participating. Other leaders in our country are not participating because they know that based on the regulations, this thing is actually for youth to participate. This man is not a youth and he's participating. This man should be able to give young people the opportunity to represent their county. And yet, President Weah will not allow them to do so. And now he's being awarded trophies. He's now the MVP, title that should have been given to maybe somebody from Lofa or Grand Crew. Now the president takes it. Somebody ever going to get something now? Is somebody ever going to get something now? So when it comes to sport now, it should just be George Weah throughout the life of this country. This is not fair. He's had his time. This is not fair. This is not right. This is a bad example. This is indeed a very bad example. All right, folks, I see that one of my panelists has just joined in. We are waiting for two other persons, and I will be bringing them in. But before I do, let me take a very short break while we wait for the other two. And let me announce the arrival of Mr. Rabo Gagwa. He wrote about this. He posted on Facebook about this. And so Focus on Liberia, reach out to him as we will always do. And let me also announce the arrival of Mr. Morris Kroman, Pet Fair Manager. The two gentlemen are here. And we will take a break. When we come back, we will bring them in and we will start the discussion. And we hope Mr. Jerome Gilman will join in quickly. So, gentlemen, be right there. We're taking a break. When we come back, we will get the conversation started. Folks, don't go anywhere.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Daneja, thank you. And I am Ansony Sieh, the host of the Hour of Politics here at Focus on Liberia. In today's edition of our broadcast, we are discussing the topic analysis of President Weah's participation in the national county sports meet. I believe it just ended, if I'm not mistaken. And in the house, I have a panel that will help me to make sense of this all. Let me now welcome Mr. Jerome Gilman. Mr. Gilman is the host of Focus on Liberia opinionated show called On Point. Mr. Gilman, it's good to have you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. And also, he's comfortably seated. His friends call him the perfect manager. Mr. Morris Kroma is here. He too has an opinion. He too was like scratching his head. What is this? Mr. Kroma, it's good to have you. Welcome, brother.
Thank you, Ansony, for the opportunity, man. It's good to be here.
All right. He is in Atlanta, Georgia, where Focus Liberia is headquarters. And he's no stranger to Focus on Liberia. And sometimes we say, hey, this guy is one of our regular panelists here. Robert, it's good to have you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be on tonight, and I look forward to a very interesting dialogue. And I see some familiar faces here tonight, so I look forward to it.
All right. And folks, as you can see, the panel is set, and we're going to begin the discussion. But before we do, we have this to share with you. Tomorrow on the Hour of Politics, I will be hosting Dr. Tilo Weto somewhere. He's an author, and he wrote a book, and that book is entitled The Leadership Experiment, George Weah and the Rhetorical Challenge of Generational Change. What prompted him to write this book? This will be an exclusive, and folks, you don't want to miss it. I'm going to push into the limit, and he's going to tell me all he has in the book and why. Gentlemen, let's get started. Let me not waste your time. At this time, I will start with my partner here at Focus on Liberia, Mr. Jerome Gilman. Mr. Gilman, you read the rules. I think you were listening to me and I read the rules. Our president participated.
Excellent.
What was
Yes,
your
sir.
reaction, first of all, when you saw the president being heavily involved and participating in the national county sports meet?
Well, obviously, for those of us who looked at President Weah as a transitional presidential candidate before he became president, we knew that this is something that he was capable of doing. He's a trendsetter. He's somebody who, in the modern age, we call an influencer, somebody that sets the trend. These are things that have never happened before. If you look at history, on the scenes of sports, there has been no active athlete that have ever become president of a nation. He's done that. There have never been any athlete on the continent of Africa that were ever Africa's best, Liberia's best, Cameroon's best, Euro's best, world best. It's never happened. So everything he has ever done has been transitional. So yes, this is something that I expected. And kudos to a 55-year-old man battling and competing with 19, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids.
All right, thank you. Let's hear from the perfect manager, Mr. Kroman. You saw our president heavily involved. This thing, from what we know, is intended for the youth, to showcase their talents, represent their counties, and so that maybe they can go from there to do something bigger. And you saw the president. What was going through your mind when you saw that for the first time?
Ansony, thank you again for the opportunity. This is a very good conversation that I'm excited to participate in. So ideally, the president, the office of the president is a very powerful office. It wields a lot of attention internationally and locally. The fact that you're president, significant portion of the population are comfortable to say that you are the one they want to make president, and so it's a powerful office. When you become athletic, when you decide to be an athletic president, you have to do it within some sort of confine. So, for example, the late President Doe had what they call the executive lion, and they will organize football games with different ministries and agencies. They will bring, some of his colleagues from the different ministries. They will play in the backyard of the executive mansion. That was, within the confine of security and, all the other things that come along with the office of the presidency. But when you participate in a youth development tournament, this is, the country media is a youth development tournament. When you participate in that, there are risks that come with it, because you as president, you're putting yourself in an exposed position where the security may not even be able to manage your welfare. That's one aspect of it. But the fact that you're a 55-year-old man, you're participating in a youth development thing, and you take away the attention from the young people that are supposed to be competing, and sort of get the stage, national attention for the sports that they play, you take all that away because you're the president, you participated, you take that attention away. I mean, I can go on and on, but I'll give, my brother Robert the opportunity to lay his premise.
And thank you there. And Robert, welcome again.
Thank you.
Saw our president, same question. What was going through your mind? I mean, were you like, is this real? President Weah?
Well, to be honest with you, when I first heard of the participation of the president, I didn't really think too much of it until the content media actually started to progress. And then I began to look at all of the different things that were going on. And I think the post that you read explained my thoughts. You can look at it in twofold. There's a positive, there's a negative. There are lots of Liberians who would look at it from the perspective of, well, here is a president who is bringing himself and engaging with the regular guy. And he's participating in a competition that, like you rightly stated, should be youth-based. I think I asked you the question, then what is the youth age considered in Liberia? I was looking through the rules and regulations, and I didn't see any specific limitation on youth, and I stand corrected. And then some people might look at it from a negative perspective, such as, are the organizers professional enough to do his job without allowing the status or the office of high-ranking individuals, such as the president of Liberia, participation not affecting how they do their jobs? And I think I mentioned, the lack of competitiveness. When you have the president who is known to be a football player professionally by trade, playing volleyball and basketball amongst young people that are 17, 18, 21, and these are people who may not be professional basketball or volleyball players, but are on that path or with that skill set. Unlike the president, when you have him participating, but not just participating, but when you have him and you're giving him the MVP award all together on both volleyball and basketball tournament, I think realistically and honestly, it raises eyebrows. It raises question. Was this given to the president to please him, to satisfy him, or was he indeed the MVP of the tournament? So we can look at it both ways. But what I want to say, though, as we have this dialogue, I don't want us to just look at what our opinions are as it relates to what is wrong and right for the president participation. I want us to focus more so on what the rules and regulations states with regards to football, volleyball, basketball, and the kickball. And let's look at what rules were violated per his participation and what needs to be done.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Robert Gagwad. So let's get started here with the rules, because if President Weah is not in any violation of any rule, then it's just a matter of people's opinion. Like the perfect manager said, maybe security, somebody may say, hey, this may not be a good decision. But let's look at what the rules and regulations say about this particular national county sport meet. I think you guys were paying attention when I read it repeatedly. Let's start with the first one, the goal. All right. It reads here, The underlying goal for the national county sportsmen is to foster peace and unity through sport, as well as provide temporary employment for sportsmen and women during the period leading to the event and post, meaning after. Mr. Goodman, the goal, according to the rules by the Ministry of Youth and Sports, is saying that the goal here is to provide temporary employment for sportsmen and women. Is President, we are looking for a job here?
Well, let me give you the historical context when it comes to the county meet. When President Tubman began his unification policies in Liberia, one of the things that he thought would bring the people together was the county meet. It was not about competition per se. It was not about the perks. It was about bringing unity, bringing the wayward counties together, usually in Monrovia, where there would be available the opportunity to meet and greet and bring fellowship. We are bringing the new counties in with the old counties to bring unity together, to bring the interior part of Liberia into the fold. That's the objective here. The perks and everything else that comes with those are secondary. So the president here,
I don't want to interrupt you, but I have to do this.
Uh-huh.
I get what you're saying, but I'm looking at the goal, and the goal is saying, hey, this is to provide temporary employment for sportsmen and women. I'm asking the question, is President, we are looking for a temporary employment here?
But then you are
here quickly. You gave the history of President Todd, but have you seen any other president who may have participated in any of these competitions?
But those presidents were never athletes, and those presidents were in their 60s and the 70s when they became president. Mm-hmm. This is a president, like I say, his position and his athleticism is historical. When you look at the uniform that the president is wearing, tells you on the uniform it says spectacles. If you know history, when we are going back to Greek history, Spectacle was a slave that rebelled against the Roman Empire. He was a gladiator. So you are looking at a man who, when you look at his history, from when he come to where he's at, he has actually been a gladiator.
I'm asking you a question about the rules,
everything
Mr.
is in line.
No, Mr. Gilman, you're not going to invade that. I'm asking you a question concerning the rule. The goal here is to provide temporary employment. Don't give me that history lesson.
No, but you're missing it. You're missing it. You're missing
I'm not missing it.
You are missing the other piece. The other piece said the first goal is to bring unity. You're leaving that out.
No one is fighting about the unity aspect.
Okay, so the president being there as a unifier, he has his place.
That's the only way.
There's nothing there that said the president got rewarded for whatever he has done. The only thing you see was
that's the only way he can bring the unity to be actively involved as a player. Tottenham brought unity through he was not playing. Though did that, he was not on the field.
Yeah, but
the president did that too. They were not on the field as
we are talking about Mr. Sieh, we are talking about different styles of management. Okay. When I became CEO of the Chamber of Commerce on the local level, I brought something different. When I became president of the ACLU as a non-lawyer, I brought something different. It was the first time that a non-lawyer was elected to be a president of a bar, business or bar association. So we all bring different style of leadership.
As a manager will enforce company policies, company rules and regulations. I'm talking to you about regulation, in my opinion, that has been violated by the president.
No, it's not
a temporary employment.
But you see, and it's an opinion. It's your opinion. But the fact here is, I can tell you that the president was there not for the perks. Okay, the president was there as a unifier.
Thank you.
And he stands all right to be a unifier and a man of the people. I can see there were no security per se. He's the man of the people. He's doing the right thing.
Thank you. I can see that you are sweating there, Mr. Gilman. This territory is hard for you. Welcome to a perfect manager.
Let me
anything. He's dodging my question. So let's come to you.
Yeah, I would love to jump in.
Please.
Before I even go into the violation of the rules, assuming that we have met all the criteria, President, we have met all the criteria to participate in such a tournament. One would imagine that as president, he will be conscious enough to say, well, I'm the president, and I know that if I participate in these processes, people will be intimidated just by my presence. Naturally, as president, you would think about what the people you're playing with, how they will feel when you are on the court playing volleyball or basketball. And the fact that the president was brave enough to receive a Man of the Match award in a youth development tournament, and then receive the most valuable player. He is a 55-year-old man, and he's receiving the most valuable player award in a tournament that had over 15, 20-year-old competing, because this is a one-time-a-year opportunity that these young people have to come to the city and showcase their own skill and talent. The president shouldn't deny them that kind of opportunity. It's unfair. But let's go to the rule. The rule says, it's clearly written, even if this tournament, the initial intent of President Tubman was to do all that Mr. Gilman just said, every year the tournament they have developed sets of rules and requirements for participation. So for this year tournament, the rule is clearly stated that anyone who plays for the national team cannot participate in such a tournament, right? So, I mean, I know some of, Mr. Gilman and maybe, Robert will argue that, well, he didn't play soccer. I mean, assuming even that is the case. But the fact is that President Weah, played the highest level of sports in our country. He is seen as a national icon. And to take this opportunity away from young people is disheartening. It broke my heart.
Can I push back on that real quick?
Well, hold on, Mr. Gilman, one at a time.
Well, let me go.
Yeah, let bring Robert in. Robert, quickly.
Well, first, let me just say this. I think this assumption of what my argument would be, I think to my brothers Morris, I think it doesn't serve this dialogue any good. Let me express myself.
I made an assumption. I said if I will assume.
Right.
I mean,
I
don't
want you to assume. I don't want you to assume my argument. I want you to hear my argument. But here is what I would say though. I think I will concur with Morris. We can't go back to what the intent of the tournament were many years ago. Look, we are in 2022, and even if that was the intent of the tournament at its inception, one would assume that that idea has evolved, right? And like Morris said, every year there's a mandate with the Ministry of Youth and Sports to put forth a new guidelines that each county is mandated to follow. But let's look at the rules. And look, again, I'm an independent thinker. I like to think for myself. I don't let people think for me, and I don't really care much of what people think of what I think. But I like to argue based on facts. And I think that maybe these rules are written and it needs to be very clear. I think they are ambiguous, right? The objective was very clear. The objectives for the organization of the National County Sports Meet are to undertake peace initiatives through sports involve national youth participation and identify sports talents in sports of grassroots sports. So we clear the president is not a youth. But when you look at each of the guidelines for football, for kickball, and for basketball, it's still something totally different. And I want to go back to what it is, just to help us guide our conversation here tonight. Let's look at volleyball. Article, I think it's Article 7, 14.10 states, absolutely there will be no former or current player who has played for the senior national team would not be permitted to participate in the county sports meet, and it indicated football. Now let's football. So the argument that the rule states that no former player on the national team are allowed to participate is a fallacy. It's a lie. That's not what the rule states. But when you go to the basketball portion of that rule, and which I was very interested in, it's just that one second. I want to read it so that we're very clear. Volleyball. It's this that only 2 players from current or former national team can participate per county.
Only 2 players. Article, I think it's, I'm not sure which article, but it's 9.5 under volleyball. Only 2 players from current or former national team can participate per county. So let's look outside of the box for a little bit. Disregard the precedent. I think that the Ministry of Youth and Sports has a responsibility, from our perspective, to put forth rules, I believe, that are very clear, that are very defined, and that people like you and I can understand outside of politics. I've said, and I will continue to say, that I believe there are reasons beyond the rules that the president should not participate in these county meet next year. And I stated those.
And Robert, let me hold you there. I want you to understand that if you are reading the rules, if you look at the goal and you look at the objective, it tells you this is for national youth participation. So all other rules, if the rules have told you that this is for national youth participation,
okay,
this is for sport development,
right,
in Liberia.
Right.
You can't be developing sport in Liberia, then you want 55-year-old men to compete. It does not make sense.
Right.
But the quote here is that only youth can participate.
But it doesn't.
All those rules that you see apply to youth. A youth who have played for the national team before, whether it's the national team on soccer or basketball or volleyball, that is what they are talking about.
No. But I'll say it. No, we can't make our own rules, and this is my problem.
I'm not making my own rules.
You are making your own rules. Because, no, I'm telling you what I'm reading from the same article that was sent. It's ambiguous, and this is why I said.
No, Robert, I disagree with you. Let me hold you there. It is not ambiguous.
No.
First, they told you that this is for youth participation.
So
all other rules, they can't tell you this is for youth and turn around and say, "Oh, people can participate."
But does it state?
Hold on, Maurice. Let him point that. Okay, Robert.
Does it state in the guidelines? And I think we've all jokingly asked this question many times, right? What is the age definition of youth in Liberia? I think you said to me that the county meet specifically stated that 35 and above.
No, what I said to you was I believe the definition of youth by Liberia standards from 18 to 35, and I'm not sure on that, but it's from 18 to something else.
Okay, yeah. So again, look, my view is this, right? Here's my view. I don't think the president should be participating at these tournaments when it is going to affect the way professionals do their jobs. And I also want to know from you, Robert, do you think the president is in violation of the rules? If the president is in violation of the rules?
Yeah, based on what you read.
I think the president, based on what I read, the president is in violation of the basketball rules, not the volleyball rules. Because if you look at the rules for the volleyball,
so 55-year-old man, if he's not in violation, means that the rules allow 55-year-old men who is not of use to participate. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Well, again, based on what the Ministry of Youth and Sports put out, they were very clear and definite when it came to who can play the football level and the volleyball.
The ministry told you that this is for youth participation, Robert.
Mr. Sieh.
Exception when it comes to other rules.
Mr. Sieh. Mr. Sieh.
No. Wait,
Morris, hold on. Let's come to Mr. Gilman.
Mr. Sieh.
Yeah.
For those of us who are older folks, we are actually saying the team that he played on were playing at a handicap. Can you imagine athlete in their best form, 22, 23, 24, against an old guy on the team? That tells you that one team is handicapped. Now let's look at it from the other side. I
want you to speak to the rules.
No, now let's look at it from the other side.
The conversation.
When you listen, for you to have President Weah on your resume as somebody that I play against, it elevates your status. Talk to the young folks in the NBA. Talk to the young folks in the NBA when they play against LeBron James. Just being on the court with LeBron James alone elevates your status. After the game, they go by him and say, "Can you sign my shoes? Can you sign my shirt?" It is an iconic occasion,
and you can see
who is not
a youth here. We are talking
But
about
it
a
doesn't. There
president.
is no violation. It doesn't say that if you are over 35, you cannot play at this level. It didn't say that.
I sent you the rules. Did you not read the
So,
rules, Mr.
I
Goodman?
read the rule. There is no
All right.
violation.
All right, thank you.
Ansony.
You answered my question. You said there's no violation. Mr. Kroma, let me come
Yeah,
to you.
yeah. I mean, I want to make 2 points. One, I want to address some of the things that my brother Rabbi was talking about. So in programming, when we develop these objective or rules or guideline, whatever you call it, the objective is the main issue that we're trying to get to, and then everything else is lying under the objective.
Right.
So when we read the objective, and I'll read it for you again, Robert, so that at least we're clear about how we go about this conversation. It says the objective for the organization of the National County Sports Meet are to undertake peace initiative through sports, involve national youth participation, and identify sports talent in sports for grassroots sport initiative in the country. So the fact that
Morris, let's read it again so our audience can follow.
Yeah. So, I'll go back to the reader again. It said the objective for the organization of the National County Sports Meet are to undertake peace initiatives through sports, involve national youth participation, and identify sports talent in sports of grassroots. See that
in support of grassroots sports initiative.
In support of grassroots sports initiative in the country. So when you have the most powerful man in the country, the first citizen, you guys know the president is the first citizen of the country. You have the first citizen participating who is 55 years old. He's above the youth age, because youth age, like Ansony says, is 18 to 35 years old. That is the United Nations, even the United Nations definition of youth. The president has gone past that age more than 10, 15 years. But suddenly he finds pleasure in participating in a competition with young people, and not just participating. If he participated in a one-day thing and say, okay, I just want to come and identify, do the kickoff, wear a jersey for Montserrat County, since he was indeed the senator of Montserrat County. I don't know how he became Grand Cru citizen again when you're a senator. So you're confusing whether he's from Grand Cru or from Montserrat. Wear a jersey, participate in one day, and walk away, so people know, okay, the president himself is a spokesperson and he has participated. But to participate and then go and take a Man of the Match award and finish and take Most Valuable Player award, you deny another young person that could have gotten that award. That person goes home and is sad because he knows within himself that he did a lot of good job playing in the volleyball and basketball tournament. Mr. Gilman, give me 1 minute. I'm almost done.
Hold on, Mr. Gilman, one at a time.
I'm almost done, sir. Just give me 1 more minute. So the young person goes home feeling terrible because he knows he did a better job than the president. But the only reason the president is getting this award because Zogha Wilson wants to protect his job. He's the youth and sports minister. He wants to impress his boss. The only person that can fire Zogha Wilson in Liberia is the president. So if I was just Zogha Wilson's position and my boss is playing, yeah, I'll gain some attention. He needs that attention. So he gave the award to Mr. President and said, Mr. President, you are the most valuable player in this tournament. Yeah, you go take your award. How can the president not be selfish if he does such a thing? I just want to make that point.
Thank you. And Mr. Gilman, talk to me about Zogha Wilson. Who crafted these rules? Who is in charge of these rules to enforce them, that they are enforced to the letter? Then, sorry there for the interruption. There is, do they even identify talent before we have won awards in front of the young people? Laws are just there to make, but our leaders don't lead by example. All right. I don't know how they come and just got there. Gentlemen, sorry. And who was speaking, Mr. Gilman, I was about to ask you, Zogha Wilson, he's supposed to enforce these rules, right? And yeah, he is violating these rules. So talk to me. Is Mr. Wilson doing his job here?
What rules is he violating? Because there's a committee that runs the county. It's not the sports minister. It's a committee. And to my brother, Mr. Kroma here, talking about the president denied, there were about 200 young folks that were competing in these tournaments. If one other person wins it, it denies 199 other person that particular goal or trophy. or opportunity. The objective here is to compete. When you look at it, you see, you don't want to read the goal. You are reading the objective. The objective leads to the national goal. The goal here is to bring unity through peace, through sports. And who is the ambassador, the peace ambassador? Let's look at the goal.
Mr. Gilman,
The goal is the bigger picture here.
You read the goal right there. Please read
it. The goal here, 1.0, the goal. The underlying goal for the annual National County Sports Meet is to foster peace and unity through sports, as well as provide temporary employment for sports men and women during the period leading to and after basically the event. It doesn't say anything there. The objective here, the primary objective of this county meet is to bring people together. The president did that. The president is the unifier in chief. The president, as you saw everywhere he went, we had the people turn out in mass. The young people that play with this president will never forget. This is a memorable moment in time. So there were no rules violated. You cannot show me one rule that says that the president cannot participate.
The objective said you must be a youth. The objective said you must be a youth, and the president is not a youth.
It didn't say show me where it said you must be a youth.
Okay.
Let me say this. Look, my mind is blowing right now. Look, when I spoke to you, remember, this is exactly what I was trying to avoid, right? I don't want us to make the county meet an event that should be a political event. Look, with due respect to Mr. Gilman, I think Mr. Gilman is basically speaking from a partisan perspective than
he's just evading the
concerns. Well, I'm just saying, because here's the thing. I think there are a few things we have to look at for some improvement for next year. And I said this over and over. I think there always room for improvement. But Ansony, I'm reading this guideline, and I gotta say, it's not very clear. The goals doesn't align with the objectives. And I agree with Morris 100%. I understand what the objectives are. I understand what the goals are. But when you have a goal and objectives that follows the guideline that should guide processes and how teams that are participating in players are to conduct themselves, then it is important that these guidelines are aligned with the goals and objectives. It's ambiguous. And I keep saying this. And so there are room for improvement. But I disagree with Mr. Gilman 100%. There are many ways that the president of Liberia can inspire. There are many ways that the president of Liberia can engage its citizens. There are many ways that the president of Liberia can motivate other than just participating in the county meet. No one in his or her right mind would agree and conclude without any question that the president of Liberia, through merits, earned the MVP of the basketball and the volleyball tournament. No one would agree that, and which is what I said. I think it's important that we start as professionals. When we are appointed by our leaders, the Liberian president is one of the most powerful leaders in our country. We don't have many elections in places that we should be having elections. He appoints damn near everyone. I understand that. But when these appointments are made, they are made because the president has a goal. The president wants you to accomplish and do a particular job on behalf of the Liberian people, not to seek his own interest. So when Zora Welsh and others are given a tax that is bigger than the president of Liberia, it is incumbent upon them to perform beyond the president of Liberia. So even if the president participated, you don't have to give him the MVP award. He does not merit the MVP award, overall volleyball and basketball award, especially when the rules does not apply to him throughout the tournament. Did you see games where the president was basically being allowed to walk past other players and he was laughing while he was playing style with the basketball on the court? These things don't happen during real games post context.
Thank you, Robert.
So I'm not going to sit on this platform and behave as though the
Mr.
president
Gagwa.
earned those awards. But again, we have to make sure that these rules and regulations are as clear and explicit as it can be, because they are meant to guide us.
Thank you, Robert.
Ansony, can I just come in, just jump in right there?
Please.
Robert summed it up the best way that I feel. He did it better than me. In the way he explained it, he did it better than me. But I wanted to make one point. Throughout the process, I don't know if Mr. Gilman is aware, but one of the games the president was playing, the electricity went off when the president was on the court playing basketball. For about 20 minutes, people are using their cell phone lights to make sure the president is safe. I mean, just think about that for one second. For 20 minutes, the electricity was off. Everything came to a halt. Basketball don't have protection of the spectators from the players. There is easy access from the spectators straight to the court. And the president of the country is on the basketball court playing, and the light goes off. Nobody got fired, nobody got disciplined. But the point I'm making here is that the president exposes himself to security issues when he does that in a country like Liberia, where the electricity is not safe. But I just
Mr. Gilman, does President Weah deserve those 2 MVP titles? Did he not deny young Liberians who are coming up the opportunity to take the spotlight for at least once? Did he not?
Could you put the rules and regulation as it relates to who should be qualified for MVP?
Mr. Gilman, go ahead and make your point.
No, I'm just asking, because for you to say he took something that belonged to somebody else, he may have.
Let me answer your question.
I want to see the rules that he violated.
Since you want to play host, let me answer your question. MVP means most valuable player.
That's correct.
Okay, so you are telling me President Weah performed exceptionally well in basketball and volleyball than the young talents that we saw on the field, and so he merits that particular title. That's why you are telling me.
I am telling you, those who run a tournament, we have stages. We staggered. I ran AAU basketball for years. I ran football, Pop Warner football for years. We have MVP. We have Hustle Award. We have all of those awards. And they are different criteria.
MVP title, Mr. Gilman. On what basis? I mean, is MVP title awarded?
Yes.
Answer my question.
For the most valuable player.
On what basis one gets that?
Well, there are several. Before every tournament, there are rules that set aside. In the AAU, the coaches get together and decide who is the most valuable player. There are times when they go by points. Who scored the most points? Who has the most stats? And there are times that there are people who make more contribution than those who even score more points based on assists and hustle and all of that. So we determine most valuable player in different ways. This is what I was saying. For you to say he doesn't deserve it, that should tell you, you should have a list of the qualification as to how they derive at that particular decision of making the president the most valuable player, the most valuable player of the tournament. So for you to just come out and say because he's president, even if he play at the highest level, and he play better than the young folks because he old, so they shouldn't make him MVP.
Mr. Gilman, will you advise President Weah to participate in this national county sports meet? Is that something you are advising?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Folks, let's leave it there for now. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we will read comments and also bring in folks for them to participate.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Ja.
Dennis, thank you. And I'm answering Sieh. Folks, let's bring in those who are participating by the comment sections here, and folks, please start putting in your calls. A lot of comments here. It's hot here. Let me see. I want to go to the beginning and start from there with these comments. So, folks, the number to call, look in the scrolling text below. That number that starts with 605 is the one to call. That is the teleconference number. Let's hear from Famula. This guy is a disgrace to our country. Let's hear from Jebeju Tower Tubasan. The son is made Obadiah Togba from Australia, not President George Weah. Let me leave that one there. Let's hear from Shelley. You are the disgrace to the generation you came and come from. These people, they will not stop fighting. Let's hear from Flomo Livingston. The president shouldn't have participated in the tournament. He is the president of Liberia. Let's hear from Diego Thomas. This country is county made. The rules changed because the seated president was all right. Let me leave that one there. It's not. Let's hear from this person talking to somebody else. Let's hear from Masale. If chance is given to President Weah, he will even want to play kickball with the women. It's all about George Weah and no one else. Let's hear some Flomo Livingston. Liberal definition of youth, I believe, is 14 to 35. So I came a little close there. Let's hear from Sharon. Sharon, right? We are studio recording contract. Oh, well, let me leave that one. Let's speak to the people, folks. Seriously, you see how you people are selfish in that country? You say what? She's wondering. Let's hear from Fode. The president's presence alone motivates, I believe he meant to say, others to play in the game. That person is making a justification for the president. The song is, okay, let me leave this one here. I don't know which one to bring. The song is about Nimbayan supporting in the 20 election. All right, that person is saying there. The comments are many, but I want to read a good one. It's hard to pick that one. When the country get a less busy president, what do you expect? It's all childish behaviors from the highest office of the land. The president is being crucified there. Let's hear from Darling Woodward. George Weah wants to make everything about George Weah. He has a brain of a child. He doesn't know who he is. He has no clue about the portfolio he carries. He writes. Let's hear from George Weah is the one that put your country, Liberia, on the map of sport. Just so you know, who knew your country before George Weah came to the world of sports? He said no one knew Liberia. He hasn't read history yet. And I'm sorry for that person. But man, can you believe that person that said that George Weah business the world know Liberia? Let's hear from Stenny. And there you will have no opportunity to showcase their talents by virtue of the presence of President Weah, who possesses intimidation, making the case there that because of President Weah, the children will not have the opportunity to shine. Anthony Gabe, Mr. Gateman, when will you honestly disagree with what President Weah does? This county meet tournament participation of the president is in violation of the rules and regulations governing the county sports meet, he writes. Let's hear from Sekou here. Sekou, right? That is Maurice Sekou Kane. We hope y'all will tell the president's speechwriter to please write the president's State of the Nation's speech in form of song. At least that way we will understand what he wants to say. That person is being condescending there. The president's, annual message now should be a song. Well, maybe I don't blame him. He's singing all the time. Even he's singing for Kalasco. Anthony Gill, the president, talking about it as president. We are, Mr. Gilman. Person is asking a question. Well, folks, let me put there. A lot of comments. Because of time, we can't go into them all. Let me start with you, perfect manager. During some comments, they are divided. Some of them are saying, well, President Weah put the country on the map. So what you said, right? And some are saying that is not his place. He's not a youth. so he should not be participating. Oh, yeah.
So I mean, Ansony, you agree with me that as citizens, all of us have our opinion about the way we see our president.
Mm-hmm.
There are, people who adore the president because of his history. There are people who love Weah, and I don't care what President Weah does, it's always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are other people who are objective, who will say President Weah is doing a very good job with, development. He's fixing our roads, but he's not doing good with how he carries himself. He's a musician. He's singing every day. He's playing football when the country, the people in the country are suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are different views. Then you have people like us who always are very sensitive to what the president does. We always try to checkmate him and say, no. The country deserves more. Believe it or not, 60% of our 60 to 65% of our population are young people, and these people don't have opportunities. Whether we argue about this or not, that is just a fact of it. The young people don't have opportunity. They don't have opportunity to job. They don't have opportunity to healthcare. They don't have opportunity to be secure in their own country. Mm-hmm. They don't have opportunity like sports opportunity like this. Mm-hmm. The country meet is one time a year that come around. Some of these young people don't play anything at all for the whole year. All they do with themselves is prepare for the country meet for next year. So today they start preparing for it. They start practicing, playing all the different sports that they can play because they want to play in next year competition. Mm-hmm. It is the only time in the country that everybody from around the city come and emerge to whatever location they have in the game. They go there and they take on the country to support either country, either the West country, where the country they come from, depending on where the interests are, they go and they support.
Thank you.
So the whole country come to a halt when this competition come around, and then you have the president going there and then proudly receiving an MVP title as though he did something marvelous for against the young people that he played against. It's a shame.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman. Let me come to you. We all can agree how good President Weah was when he was on the pitch. He was Liberia's pride. We can't argue that. This guy is an iconic figure when it comes to this thing, right? When he was playing, Liberia wanted to go to the World Cup. When he was on the field, we didn't succeed. Some people said one of the reasons was our leaders at the time were not putting more money in football. And here is President Weah, who controls the national purse of our country. See how Lone Star is doing. We can't even get qualified for an African Cup. And this is all he does to play basketball? Is the president up to the task here when it comes to sport? Or is he just here to enjoy himself?
It's a Sieh. For those of us who like to talk, I'm a sociologist. So my training and everything that I have done have to be based on social statistics. Now let's look at some of the things that we are talking about when we're talking about President Weah here. 2008, 2000, around there when I was working with the Joe Biden administration, Joe Biden, Obama administration, there was this big argument about why the president was building a basketball court behind the White House. And he brought Duke University, North Carolina, and Georgetown, and they were playing basketball. And the Republican went nuts and said, this man has denigrated the White House. He's playing basketball. All he wants to do is play basketball. He's clueless. This is the same argument we are seeing here. This is a president that you are saying you want to say the president.
I don't like why you're doing it.
Listen to this. You are saying
why you are doing.
We didn't go to the World Cup.
We're talking about Liberia competing.
Listen, but we got to talk. I'm giving you an example here. You are talking about we didn't go to the African Cup. We didn't go to the World Cup. The greatest country on the planet Earth, the United States, with all its money, with all the academies, they have failed to even develop soccer to this point. It takes time. We are talking about, when you talk about Ghana and Nigeria and the Ivory Coast, these people have had academy from the 1940s.
Thank you.
Liberia is just beginning to build, just recently before the president began to build soccer stadium around the country. You go to my hometown, Grand Bassa. The Doris Williams Stadium has now been transformed. It's now a mini academy. Same thing in Brewerville. Same thing going on in Monrovia, all over the country. So it's going to take for Liberia to make it to that level. It's going to take years. But the president has put and has invested a lot of money in sports, and you can see around the country the pitches that we have, the stadium, everything is now getting ready for Liberia to take off.
Thank you. And Robert, President Weah, we can argue who he is when it comes to sports, soccer in particular. We are not doing better as a nation. Why? Is it too early to say President Weah is not doing enough? Will we ever get somewhere under President Weah? You are muted, Robert. You are muted. Unmute yourself.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, look, again, I don't want to I think Mr. Gelman is he sounds like a very smart man. But I think
I know what he's doing.
Yeah, I think the analogy that he's making with Obama and what we're talking about just doesn't add up. I mean, anyone who gets mad at George Weah for building a soccer pitch in the back of his yard, for to exercise or to play soccer, whether it's free time boy or to play basketball in the back of his yard, will be silly. That would be a silly argument. But that's not what we're talking about, though. We're talking about his participation in the counted meet. And again, I've said privately and publicly, I think that we have to maintain the fact that this competition has been apolitical for decades, for many years. When we start making all of the different arguments and partisans of CDC will defend the president participation, irrespective of what the rules are or what the goals or objectives might be. And folks on the opposition will raise questions that they won't normally raise. It has to be apolitical, which goes back to my point. As far as sports in the country, I think we're going to have a whole different show as to why we are where we are today, and some of the expectations as far as youth sports development in the country, having a president who was once on the national team. I think it requires funding. I think it requires commitment. I think it requires the right kind of decisions with regards to who coach our teams, the different programs that are developed. It entails a lot of different things. I'm a big sports guy. I'm a Lone Star guy, and I just love the attitude when it comes to Liberia. Look, we don't look at our religious background. We don't look at our political affiliations. We looked at Lone Star. The same thing with counted meat. There are people who are on the oppositions and who works in the government who are from Nima County. I like the idea of these folks putting aside their political differences and coming together in support of their respective counties. And this is what the counted meat is about. This is what it's about when we talk about the peace and the unification aspect of the county
quickly, you guys, 1 minute each, then we'll go to the calls. Robert, President Weah, I don't know if it is true, but I heard a voice, so I'm sure he's the one. He released a song that Nimba will win. This is the president. You are saying, hold on, Robert. You are saying when it comes to sports, this thing, there should be no politics in it. He's from Grand Cru. He's played for Grand Cru. In this
just for the record, you're not for Grand Cru. Let's be clear about it. Whether you're for Grand Cru or Maserado, that's a debate to be held. Let's be clear. Just for the audience.
He's from Grand Cru. You can't argue that. That's why he said, right? So let's leave that one.
But you are senator for Maserado, though.
Yes, anybody can reside in Maserado and contest.
But look at Edwin Snow. Where is Edwin Snow? Where is Edwin Snow from?
Continue.
Where is Edwin Snow from?
Yeah. So, Robert, my question was, President Weah released a song. You said this thing shouldn't be about politics. For Nimba, election coming. But maybe I should take the politics out of it, right? What do you make of President Weah? Did he bring himself down to the lowest that the president of the nation will produce a football song for a county? You remember he did that for Kalasco wedding, though. What is this president up to with this thing?
Look, I had a post written, and it was good you mentioned my good friend and brother Kalasco. And he's a good friend. He's a brother. and I have no quarrel with the president making a song for a guy he considers his son. I think they have a relationship beyond politics. And I would say, for the record, publicly or privately, I have absolutely no quarrel with the president making the song. Actually, the song was in French, and as I understood the interpretation of the song, it meant a lot to the relationship he has with Colasco. So I won't indulge in having that conversation. Now, when it comes to the president making a song for Nimba County,
in support of Nimba.
I haven't heard the song, and so I haven't authenticated if it is indeed the president or not. But you're absolutely right. Why would the president make a song just for Nimba County? What interest does he have in Nimba County? I mean, let's assume he's from Maserati or Grand Crew. He was senator of Maserati County, and he has some connection with Grand Crew. You would think, and he played for Grand Crew. So you would think that if any song he will make, it will be for Grand Crew or for Maserati County. Or better yet, I don't think the idea of making songs for a specific county, though, given the fact that he's the chief patron of sports, I don't think it signaled the right message with regards to what Mr. Gilman has been talking about, which is the unifying aspect of the tournament.
All right.
And so I haven't heard the song. I'm not sure if indeed it is the precedent on that. But look, he didn't make a song for Grand Bassa, and I feel like Grand Bassa was cheated. And so I feel some type of way about that, if indeed.
All right, Robert, thank you. Our callers are waiting. Perfect manager, President Weah.
Yeah, so
I hear you.
No, I don't think Weah is the one that made the song. Somebody brought it to my attention. I listened to it, and they sent me 2 other videos of the person that made the song.
Okay.
And I sort of agreed that it wasn't
President Weah.
Yeah, it wasn't President Weah. But
Right,
overall, I would have assumed that the president in the country meet, if he really meant that he wanted to unify the country or to be an example of unity, maybe he should have played 5 minutes on each of the teams. Just wear the jersey for 5 minutes, play, go on the next team, play for 5 minutes, do it all across the 15 counties. People will take you more seriously and say, yeah, the president means business when we talk about unity.
Mr. Gilman, quickly, did you hear about this song? Did you listen to this song? Do you know?
Also, by the way, not to interrupt, I just got confirmation, certainly, that song wasn't made by the president.
Okay, thank you, Robert. That is very important.
Not to interrupt, but I just got confirmation, certainly, that the song wasn't made by the president.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gilman, so maybe we should leave the song thing until we can verify it. But when I listened to it, I heard a voice that sounded the president Weah, and people sent it to me and said, oh, President Weah released another song. That's why I thought to bring it to you to discuss it. So, President Weah, let's go. Let's get your.
Listen, like I said, we are looking at something that is unique to Liberia. We have never had a president that was as young as 50 when he was 52 when he became president. We have never had.
We had Doe was even younger.
We have never had. Well, you remember at one point, Doe was never president. He was head of state. He was commander-in-chief. So he was never elected popularly as president of the country. But anyhow,
Really, Doe was not elected? Wait. Did this say Doe was not elected?
Well, was Doe elected when he became president?
1985? Who got elected president of Liberia?
Didn't you guys say, or the opposition said, the election was stolen? It was never valid.
Assuming
No, we're not assuming anything here. The reason that we had a war was you said the election was stolen.
Mr. Gilman. Assuming the election was stolen. The man stayed as president from 1985 to 1990. For 5 years, he was president.
Listen to this. Okay, I agree with you. He was president. Fine.
Yeah, let me progress.
President Weah has a talent. Okay, man speaks several languages. He's athletic. He has done everything that most people on the planet would never do. If he sings a song, I listen to the song, the voice sounded like him. Mm-hmm. And my only qualm was, if he were doing this song, why he didn't put this song out way back? He waited until after Nimba County has won this county meet. And then you coming out to praise Nimba if it is he. My qualm was that. So to me, I think he was playing like a teacher's pet. But If he wanted to support Nima County above everybody else, he would have done that in the quarterfinals, in the semifinal, or before the final. But not after the president had won the game, and after the game, then he put up a song and said Nima is going to win. So I think it was a little comical. But if he did that, it may have been in jest.
Thank you. Let's bring in our callers here quickly.
Nima is my point was that. So to me, I think he was.
Hey, caller, please mute your monitor so we can bring you in. And that is the Minnesota caller here. 2580 is your number. Please mute whatever you are listening to. Let hear you. Your name.
Okay, I'm listening. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh, can I speak now?
Yes, you can. Please go ahead. You have a minute.
Oh, a minute. Oh, I have so many things to say, but a minute will not do it. But okay, thank you for the show. But what I see Liberians, every day Ansony Sieh comes on his show, all he looks for is any negative thing about President Weah. I'm objective, but equally so, President Weah is one of Liberia's finest sons. The reason you see all these
can you call your name? Can you call your name, please, and tell us who you support?
Constance I am a physician, not only a physician. I support. I'm the chair of CDC USA. I support the president's participation 139.99 times.
What's about 2,000?
2,000 times.
Thank you. Go ahead.
There is talking about rules. He's confusing himself with rules and objectives. The primary goal, that was Liberian multiple choice. They tell you the goal, one of the goals of the council meeting is to foster peace and reconciliation. Who have the ability, who can better bring Liberian people to forget about all the animosity, PTP, President Weah. But you know what? Liberian are bureaucratic people. You see, Liberian, by the time you get him fast, you get him their thing, he gets PSC, he satisfied. Go to most of the universities, then you see all the Nigerians, Liberian out there, they all say, but only President Weah can make them see. And that was President Weah will win. The 2023 election, what thing?
Mr. Dwopo, can you speak to the sporting instead of bringing politics here, Mr. Dwopo?
Focus on one of the goals. Don't say rules, don't confuse rules. The end result, if you have a project, one of the goals.
Mr. Dwopo, did you read the rules? Mr. Dwopo, did you read the rules?
No, the rules come to the goal. What is rule if you not accomplish your goal? Your goal sets the rule.
What's about the objective, Mr. Dwopo? Mr. Dwopo, what's about the objective that said this is for youth participation?
Liberian people, you feel to show yourself accountable.
What's about the objective that said this is for youth participation?
You have a question to community. You have a question the people that make the youth participate. And you have a question the athletes that participated. But you know why? Your focus is personal. We are so you will always miss in that. Because you're not even holding yourself accountable. Why Ansony did not speak to this? Why Ansony did not publish articles to question the people that set the rules? The personal, we are not the head of the committee.
Thank you.
They appointed people to do their job.
Thank you. That was the voice of.
Any article.
That was the voice. Thank you, Madam Dwopo. Mr. Dwopo, thank you. Your 1 minute is over, Mr. Dwopo.
Anything new, you can't handle change.
Mr. Dwopo, thank you. Your 1 minute is over. That was Mistress Constance Dwopo, chairperson of CDC USA. It's obvious she will sound that way because her king is being critiqued and be held accountable here. You know, when I do that, they can't just stand me. I don't know what people are going to do about me. I'm going to do my job anyway. I love this thing. Let's hear from Mr. Anso Dwalu. Mr. Dwalu, let's hear you.
Thank you so much, Ansony. Thanks for the show. I mean, let's stick to the 1 minute. Let that lady go too long. But let me make my point here. And I'm speaking to Mr. Gilman directly. And I really appreciate what he to answer this question. Let me lay a foundation for you. Mr. Gilman, the reason for this constant meet is to develop talent, select those talents, and move them forward. So like young people that you can bring up to the national team. Hopefully these guys can play for our national team. Now, what will be President Weah's role? How is he going to be playing in his 60s? So what are we trying to attain here, gentlemen? This is not about, look, we talk about unity, having unity for the country. Where is the unity when the president actually want to do everything? So tomorrow, if we have NAMFO tournament, President Weah's going to play. If we have marble tournament, he's going to play. If we have kickbox for men, he's going to play. This is ridiculous, Mr. Gilman. You have to grow up and understand this is bigger than President Weah. It's about our country. But I want you to answer the question. What role will President Weah play in the future if we intend to develop youth? What youthful role is he going to play at the age of 60 or 55, whatever he is? Thank you.
Mr. Gilman, you want to answer that quickly?
He was not audible. Can you repeat his question?
All right. I will come back to you and I will tell you that question. Let me take the other callers here. Let's take this one from 5613 is the last four numbers, your name and where you're joining us from. Quickly, you have a minute.
My name is Gordon Kemo. I'm joining from Maryland, USA.
Quickly, you have a minute, please.
Okay, my question, it's not actually a question, but basically a comment. First of all, I follow because of Liberia a lot.
Thank you.
I enjoy most of your program, both of the Liberian team with Noble Johnson and you and God most of the time. But I also go on the Mr. Gilman program, but I really don't enjoy it because the partisan lens is always on the show, and that's the same thing he's bringing on this show now. So sometimes it really makes some of us to look at it the other way. He said, get us down on Spoon because they don't look at things objectively. If you're having good conversation, by the time you get President Weah or TV, and they derail the whole thing because they don't want you to talk anything about President Weah. And if they were advising President Weah, really, they're going to cause problems with me.
Thank you.
So that's my good. But I follow you always. I follow almost 90% of your program.
We appreciate you for following our programs. Without you, we can't continue. So thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Let's bring in Mr. Joe Moyu. Joe, long time. How you doing? Happy New Year. Quickly, you have a minute.
Thank you, Ansony. I'm enjoying the program. Look, Weah has a self-restraint problem. And that's something that some of us need to acknowledge. He can sing if he wants to. He can play football if he wants to. But sometimes, because he can do it, you don't have to do it. There are rules and regulations, bylines, that I think one of the gentlemen on the program read out. And it states that, it's for the youth. Weah is 55. He's probably the age of a grandfather. Because he can play football, doesn't mean he has to go and insert himself in this process, because what he did was just compromise the whole thing. So it was no more about the youth talent of Liberia again. When Weah is there, people playing against him, they don't want to tackle him hard because that the president was, how we think in Liberia. And the culture of sycophancy and posterior kissing, giving him the MVP, that's part and parcel of how Liberians operate. But once again, this is a president who has a problem with self-restraint, almost childlike.
All right. And
people need to tell him instead of coming and kissing his behind and say, oh, yeah, the president need to do it. Tell him, say, no, this is wrong. Yeah. And that's always been the problem we've had in Liberia. You do not want to tell the president what he doesn't want to hear.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Very bad. That's a very, very bad sycophantic culture we have there.
Thank you, Joe.
That's my contribution. Thank you.
All right. Let's hear from G. Reeves, phone number ending in 4189. Quickly, you have a minute.
So hello to everybody. Let me just appreciate Mr. Krumah and Robert, my nephew.
Okay.
I really want to appreciate because when we get into these situations, it's not about politics. It's not about which side we're on. It's about speaking truth to power. I just have a few points.
Please.
If President Doe wanted the spotlight, he would not have promoted George Weah. He would have also stolen the spotlight. It was a competition. President Weah should have played the first game as complementary to beginning the tournament, not to continue to be in it. I also feel that to compare President Weah to LeBron James is a disservice to us who love sports. LeBron James is 37 years old. President Weah is 55 years old. Where is the youth? And so after he's won MVP, what's next? How does it promote him? He's president of Liberia. What else does he need? He has robbed two children, two young people, of what they could have had and what they could have achieved because he wanted to participate. Nothing wrong with him participating. Could he have just done the first game and left? I think we have to be fair. I think we have to be truthful. I think we have to speak truth to power and say where the wrong is and where the right is. And everything is not about partisan politics. So I want to appreciate Robert for the points he's made and also Mr. Krumah for the points he made. I think the president's participation in this competition was wrong, and I think he robbed two young children who have probably been practicing all year to show off their talent. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Let's get caller with 2051. Quickly, you have a minute. I think the name here is Oliver. Let's hear you, please.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for having me. I was listening to the story, and everybody said everything correctly, and I'm not going to criticize anyone. I just want to put my own little point out there. But you see, for us who grew up in the 80s, we look at Doe as an actor when it comes to sports. And the same thing that happened here has happened during the 80s. And they participated in the continent. Okay? The lady said that Doe gave him the opportunity, of course, but the problem was that he was always in the middle part of everything when it came to sports. He had his own team, he had the girls' teams and everything. When it came to basketball, he did not play basketball, but the problem was that he actually brought sports to life. You know, and gave a lot of Nigerian brothers and sisters the opportunity. I don't know why is it we make it easy on this thing because he won MVP and all of that. Well, if you play well and you score more shots, and that's how the basketball team works. So it's like what the other gentleman was saying. You play on a handicap and you let a handicap man beat you, and then somebody making it out of it. 55-year-old man play with his 17, 18, 19-year-old child children. For them to do well, they didn't do well. Got beaten by the man got probably I didn't watch the game. I did the whole game. Probably he got more points, and that's the reason why they usually do it to MVP. So I don't know why is it that we make it easy out of this thing. I thought at the end of the day we're supposed to applaud each other for us supporting the country. You know, and make it be successful.
All right.
Because it was successful last year, you don't have a discussion on the whole thing.
Thank
you. But this year, I didn't have any trouble. So let us, put our hands around and try to correct it and make it happen all the time.
Thank
let us not be asking who takes MVP or who not takes MVP. That's all good.
Thank you so very much for your contribution. Let's hear you. This is Sharon Kiphart. Sharon, let's hear you, please. Let's hear you, please.
Hi. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
President Weah involvement in this whole county, I think it's unfair because looking at the fight, everybody according to decisions they're saying is there to proper unity, but they did not say unity among grandparents or among grandparents and their kids. They say youth. They did not say unity among youth and older men and women. They said it was dead or done to proper unity among you.
I think she dropped off.
He's supporting the process. He should be supporting the process. Gather his men, make him ministers in government, other officials. They should go there and be able to identify young men and young women who are putting in their talents and be able to support them. Don't support him. But because this man wants to be in everything and wants to be everywhere, he does not mind considering himself as a youth. We have to be honest. We have to be honest, because if we don't criticize what he did now, it will continue as long as he stays in power, and that's stealing a young man for opportunities.
Thank you.
Maybe somebody younger, even less than 30 could have gotten the opportunity that we have today. He did not only participate, but he left with the title.
Thank you.
He left with everything. That's unfair to the young men, man. That's so totally unfair to our young people.
All right. Thank you so very much, folks. That is how we will end it there with our callers. Gentlemen, let me come back to you. Because of time, we will take closing, statement from both of you to call it a day. Our max here is 2 hours. We got 1 hour and 50 minutes. So I will give each of you 2 minutes for your closing. And for that, let's start with Mr. Robert Gagwa. Robert, yeah.
Thank you, Ansony. And it's always a pleasure to be on. And whenever you guys reach out, and whenever I reach out, I know that we're all family. Obviously, we're in my city, but I just wanted to close up with this. There's another part of this whole thing that I want to add.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I go back and forth a lot of times with different folks, and when we talk about some of the violations, let's assume the president violated some of the rules. One of the questions that I asked was, why is it that no team, all of these teams have access to what the rules and regulations are? And within the rules and regulations, there are guidelines for teams that feel violated to file complaints. And the question that I asked was, let's assume some form of rules were violated by the president participation. That would affect Grand Crew County in the basketball tournament and the volleyball tournament. Why is it that none of these teams have mustered the courage to file a complaint? Other counties did. Lofa County filed a complaint in the basketball tournament, and they won. In the soccer tournament, there were more than 5 complaints filed. 4 of the 5 won. And the excuse that I always get is, are you trying to tell me that in Africa, anyone will file a complaint against the president? And it is that kind of mindset that I believe will continue to drive us backwards. Imagine, and I'm making this example, I'm not taking it lightly. Imagine if Rosie Park would have said to herself, how dare I refuse to give up my seat for a white man at the time in America when she refused to get up. If we want something changed, we must act. The president is not above the law. In fact, the president should be the one, or any of our elected officials, whether it's the guidelines relative to the basketball or county meet, or whether it's the laws of our country. These are folks that are elected to be an exemplary of the law, not a violator of the law. And so if we are around and we see wrong being done and carried out by those who expect to do better, and we do nothing but make flimsy excuses, you're going to file complaint against the whole president, then we become part of the problem. If we want change, we must take the initiative and start doing the right thing. If I was a member of the team that went against Grand Crew County, or any of the organizing committee, I will be asking the same question. Let's look at the rules. Were any rules violated? And if there were rules violated, you will not file a complaint against the president. You file a complaint against Grand Cru County, and the law must prevail. And so we have to stop making these flimsy and lazy excuses as to why we ourselves are not doing the right thing when we see the wrong thing happening. It doesn't matter who you are. The president, lawmakers, doesn't matter. If you're wrong, you are wrong. Thanks for having me, and thanks to Maurice and the big brother Gilman for being on as well. God bless.
Rabbi, thank you. I think you spoke well. Mr. Gilman, it's time for you to close. Let hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to be out here to express my view and tell you exactly what is right and what is wrong. But it is all based on opinion, as you can see. Neither my brother Gagwa, Mr. Sieh, or Mr. Krumah brought the score sheets from all the games to see who scored the most, who had the most rebound, who had the most block. None of those things. So those who have always supported the president, that saw what the president did, because I watched most of the games and I know how he played. So we can say that. To my brother, Mr. Moyu, when he said the president wants to take all the titles and everything else. I remember when Joe and I, when we were supporting Madam Salif, we heard the same thing. When she won the Nobel Peace Prize, people said Ellen should not, she didn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. When Mo Ibrahim gave her the award, people said she didn't deserve it. Then there were Rodney Sieh and the group that said she spent $700 million in the United States to polish her image because she was all about herself. So we are cognizant of these criticism, and that's fine. It comes with the territory. As far as the president is concerned, nobody has published any rule that says the president violated any rule, none whatsoever. A lady called and she said it was unity for young folks. That is not true. The rule, the goal say it is to bring peace and unity among Liberians, among the people, through sports. It didn't say, she said it was not for grandpa and grandchildren. No, grandparents are also Liberians. It's among Liberians. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to be very, very cautious here. I think Mr. Gagwa has a point. Maybe we all should get together and say the rule need to be clear. The goal need to be aligned with the objective. So next time around, we don't have somebody, but to crucify the president that has elevated the sports. We have never talked about sports county meet as we are talking about it now. That tells you that the president has elevated the sport. And I'd love to see the president do more on it, because I heard the international community were out there. Even BBC carried some of the stuff, and that's good for us.
Thank you, Mr. Jerome Goodman there, defending the indefensible. It's obvious. He is an unabashed citizen, a crusader of the proper, a general who drinks from the proper cup and drinking his Sakomoran juice all the time. This is what they do, and they do it best for the men they love and worship, and they don't like me to say that, but I will always do. Mr. Krumah, let you unmute yourself there. You're closing.
Thank you so much to my big brother Gilman, and thanks to my brother Robert for the opportunity to share this platform with you. Thank you, Ansony, for the invitation. I thought this was a very healthy conversation. Believe it or not, we'll always disagree about how, our country should be run. All of us have our own views about it. I'm not sure how long Mr. Gilman been in America. I don't know. I'm not sure how long he's been back, and I'm not sure about his public service experience in Liberia. Having public service experience in America and having public service experience in Liberia, they're two different environments, two different cultures. So, it's extremely, I can understand the partisanship, but to, talk about how, government should be run and talk about the Ellen Johnson's experience and all that is a whole different ballgame. I wanted to talk a little bit about the issue that Rabba was raising about the citizens holding, powerful people accountable. It's an extremely difficult task to put that pressure on the ordinary people in Liberia, somebody who is coming from, for example, Bapolu County, that is a coach, and you expect him to say, well, he want to file a protest against the president of Liberia. The president is the most powerful person in the country. it is almost a difficult task because not only because of the president, but even the organizers. You have the sports minister, who is the one that is leading the charge on organizing this competition. He sets up an organizing committee. So the minister of sport that you find a protest to, or the organizing committee you find a protest to, are also beholden to the president. So all that process of holding the citizens accountable, I think we should do the reverse. This kind of dialogue will put more pressure on the power that be, because some of us don't eat from the bowl that they're eating from. So because we eat our own food and we feed ourselves, we have the leverage to hold them accountable. And because we have this opportunity to talk about that, that message can resonate more with the powerful people than holding the ordinary men that come from Bapolu, Bombing, Cape Mount County, or Bon County to go and hold the most powerful citizen in the country accountable. It's an extremely difficult task. Imagine a lawmaker or a minister can walk away easily on all the crimes they're committing. You talk about holding the president accountable in Liberia, it's practically impossible. But thank you so much for the opportunity. And I look forward more, to the future of having more conversations like this. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Also, let me just say this though. Let me just say this real quick.
Yeah, Robert, be quick.
30 seconds. We're not holding the president accountable. All of the protests that were filed wasn't filed against individual players per se. They were filed against the county. The county has a sports committee, and the county has a sports organizing team. You don't have to necessarily take the president to court. You take the county grand crew to court. That's what I'm talking about. But beyond that, if rules are broken, we must act. We can't always just lean back and say, oh, it's the president, so he gets a pass. The president, whoever, must be held accountable. We must act.
Raul, we can dialogue this.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let leave it there.
We can dialogue this process. But what you're saying is, you're saying that we should hold Grand Crew accountable. When you write that protest of holding Grand Crew accountable, you have to pinpoint the individual player, the player number on the jersey that you hold accountable, and that number reflect on the president. How can you divorce the two? But I mean, thank you so much. Let's not.
The president violated no rules. None, no rules.
Gentlemen, Focus on Liberia cannot thank you all enough for coming and so eloquently articulating the issues. I think our audience learned something from the broadcast today. And this is what Focus on Liberia is all about: educating, elevating the discussion, and promoting everything Liberia. Gentlemen, we want to say thank you. We will reach out to you, Robert. Perfect Manager, you're in trouble. If I don't have your number, I have that Facebook account. We will always call you because we have to talk about this country called Liberia. And when I'm doing my thing, some people say, oh, why are you so angry? I am not angry. But you know what I'm doing? I'm talking about a country that we all own. It is not anybody's property. Those who have that opportunity to serve us, who have budget, some filled with pork, to do everything right for our people, are the one violating the rules. And you want me to sing their song? No, I don't sing anybody's song. I sing a song for Liberia. That song might be distasteful for you because you have a silent, Mr. Gaiman. And I understand that. But one day, that Liberia will come. It may not come in my lifetime. Remember, this is Martin Luther King Day. And it may not come when Jerome Gilman is here. But when we all find our final resting place, we will remember we said the truth, and the truth about Liberia. President Weah is in error. The rules are clear. You must be a youth to participate, and he was in violation of this rule. And it must be said now so that he can't do it again, because he has denied two young people the opportunity to share the spotlight, to experience the glory of being a citizen of a dear country. They practiced for months to earn this spotlight, and it has been taken away by the most powerful person in the country, who has a budget of $5.9 million. And that is not satisfactory for him. He wants to come down to the little man and take that away. And you don't want me to talk about it because you say he is your president. He is my president too, except that I'm holding him accountable to do the right thing so that our country can be respected, so that his very self can be respected and not disrespected by people who oppose him. Isn't that the right thing to do? Well, let me not preach the sermon because I'm not good at it. The song says, we are all Liberians, and that song is taking us home. And gentlemen, we say thank you. Robert, I enjoy you. Hey, perfect manager, you were the perfect manager. The man who was not on point today is Jerome Gidman, and he is the host of the show On Point, but he was off point today. But we'll meet on point next Sunday.
You are ANC man, so we don't expect anything better from you.
Ah, there you go.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Either you raise it or we want. Liberia, oh. Either you raise it or we want. Liberia, be Liberia. Wow.